In my opinion, this is officially the movie where The Rock became Dwayne Johnson. I knew you had it in you, pal. I knew it. Snitch tells the tale of a father, played by Dwayne Johnson, whose son is imprisoned because he decides to accept a package that he knows has drugs in it. He then learns that his friend that sent the drugs was actually setting him up. He is now in jail because he was caught with these drugs. So obviously Johnson is running around trying to help his son, trying to figure out how he can help him reduce this absurdly long sentence that he's been given for jail for just this one little mistake. The only way that Dwayne Johnson can get him out of jail is if he helps Susan Sarandon and Barry Pepper, wearing the goatee of life, let me just say that, wow, incriminate and arrest a drug dealer, that his son's sentence will be reduced significantly. Going into this movie, I wasn't expecting anything great. I didn't really have high hopes for the movie, and I gotta say, I'm really surprised by this movie. It was actually pretty good, and I was really invested in the story, and that's one of the most important things I can take away from any type of movie, is I can say, you know what, I actually legitimately wanted to know what was gonna happen during this movie. I wanted to see it play out. I wanted to know the direction the characters were gonna go. I wanted to see how they were gonna get there. And Dwayne Johnson, this is definitely the best performance I've ever seen from him, for sure. He actually gives a legitimately great performance in this movie for his character. I was very impressed. He's not an action hero at all in this movie, so don't go to this movie expecting to see The Rock beat up a bunch of people or even really do anything action-oriented. This is definitely a drama. It was really fun to see this character who starts out in the movie very clean. He's a good guy, he has a construction business, and then all of a sudden he's faced with this ultimatum. He has to figure out a way to go into this seedy underworld to try to figure out how these people work so that he can help one of these people be arrested because he's an informant. But to see his character have to go through those hoops to try to get to a more evil or darker place in his life was actually pretty interesting. Like, I was actually sitting there going like, this is a good movie. I'm really surprised. This is not a bad movie at all. The movie isn't without its problems. There's an extra character in the movie that Johnson has to get to know because this guy can help him get into that world. He's kind of like a bridge into this drug world that he's trying to infiltrate. This guy's story, while important to the movie, kind of took away from it at times. I was really focused on Johnson's story. I was just like, what's this guy gonna do? I wanna know what he's gonna do. And oftentimes the film would sidetrack to this other character who was very important to the story, but his character in his life was not as interesting for me. And so for that reason, certain parts of this movie did drag a little bit. The direction is not like anything spectacular, but one of the things I liked about it was that it didn't get in the way. It's really easy with a movie like this to be like, hey, I'm gonna show off how good of a director I am and get all these amazing fancy shots and make everything like really dramatic and in your face and everything. But he pulled back a lot, I thought, and I was impressed with him as a director for this movie because you could tell that he was able to get his actors into a good place and actually provide some pretty good dramatic scenes too that didn't feel forced. And that's very important when you're working with material like this. It actually seemed like, okay, I believe that that guy's actually a drug dealer right now, and that's a credit to the performers in this movie too. The movie just had a very realistic vibe, especially for a PG-13 movie. I was impressed with it. So I actually found Snitch to be a pretty good movie, but don't go to this movie and expect a whole bunch of action sequences, because that's not this kind of movie at all. And despite the fact that some aspects of the story were not as interesting as others, I was always engaged in the general flow of the movie, and that is definitely something to say because I really didn't expect much out of this movie. I'm going to give Snitch a B. I definitely suggest seeing it if you are a fan of Dwayne Johnson or of him as a wrestler. I shouldn't really be surprised that he's becoming a pretty good actor because most wrestlers are actors. But I did see the movie The Wrestler, so I do have respect for what they do. As always, guys, thanks a lot for watching, and if you like this, then you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.